Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Chris Berryman here, coalition builder and founder of Bringing Humanity Together. Welcome again to one of our three Bringing Humanity Together live streams. This is Conversation for Humanity. This is under one of the three open forums under the Bringing Humanity Together umbrella, where people can discuss topics related to the workplace and humanity at the workplace in a very positive and constructive way. We want to know what the issues are that are out there that people are facing because it is our goal to work with both not only employers but also employees to bring humanity into the workforce. We will always be going live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, all at 3 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. Except for Wednesdays, we do a meet and greet session from 2:45 to 3. Please feel free to invite your friends, family, coworkers, your fur babies, all those great animals that you have in your house. We'd love to even have a conversation with them too, because like I said, they're part of the family. And like I said, remember every Tuesday, Share and Care with Sandy is hosted by my great friend here today, Sandy Chernoff. I host Conversations for Humanity every Wednesday. And every Thursday is hosted for Humanity Happy Hours, Carla Fedigan. As you jump on, whether it be on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, Twitter, we would love to hear from you and tell us where you're watching from. And if you'd like to get connected with us, let us know. We would like to have a great and engaging conversation with you as well. So please let us know. We would love to hear from you. And feel free to, like I said, put us any questions or comments into the chat. And we would love to hear from you. So just to get things started, here's my other great co-host with the most, Carla Fedigan. Carla, how you doing today?
Hey, Chris, I'm doing good. Been a crazy one, but we're good.
Well, life is usually crazy one way or another. So,
I know.
Especially during this pandemic.
It's been different.
That it has. So,
last night it was 81 degrees in our bedroom. Fortunately, I have a really powerful fan because my air conditioner died. And
oh no!
And the guy who takes care of that for me, his father used to do it, but his father unfortunately passed away. So the two sons have taken over the business. So Dom came and he couldn't fix the air conditioner, but because of the pandemic, it's become very difficult to get appliances. And so he said he would contact his suppliers. And so he got back to me. Are you guys ready for this? He said for the new air conditioner, it would cost $11,000 for the air conditioner and its installation. So I called him. I said, I don't think so, Dom.
I won't tell you what I paid for mine.
Well,
geez.
The original one that we had, we paid, a couple $1,000s for. And that's what I expected, maybe a little bit more, but not certainly, that much. So our daughter had done a lot of research on fans. And so we borrowed one of the ones that she has. It's a Dyson. And we've been using it for a couple of weeks. So on Saturday, we went to Canadian Tire and we bought two new fans, one for our bedroom and one for downstairs. And so even though last night, it was 81 when we, went up to go to bed, we just turned the fan on, and the way I've got it set up, it blows on us. And we had no trouble going to sleep or sleeping through the night or anything. It worked very well. Yeah.
We have ours on 68 at night, and I have the ceiling fan on, and I'm still hot. But of course, the dog sleeps with us too, and he's like I could turn off the heat in the winter and be totally fine in bed with that dog. I've never known a beagle to put off so much heat in my life.
Oh man!
Go over there and hang out with Jim for a little while. I'm not.
Well, I think, speaking about our fur babies, I got to tell you this story because
I told you need to be working from home with a fur baby.
That you did. Yes, you did. You absolutely did. Years ago when I was younger and I had a cat, and his name was Bobo. And the reason why I named him Bobo, because, of course, I'm a huge Star Wars fan, and one of the characters was named Boba Fett. So I'm thinking, Bobo, okay, great name. One day, I came home, and you should have seen him. He was so sprawled out, but get this. He was on the bed literally, you know how you've seen those cats and dogs will be on the edge of the beds and their heads are literally tilted back off the bed. They're literally sleeping. And he was like literally doing that. And I'm thinking, how can he breathe? How can he do that? And I'm thinking, my God. And I mean, he literally, half his body was on the bed, half his body was literally, if it wasn't like an iceberg coming or something like that, I thought he would have fallen off. But he's literally going, just snoozing away. And I'm thinking, God, how do cats and dogs do that? It's amazing. It's amazing. So, Sandy, how is Apple doing?
Apple's doing great. Elisa's done really quite a good job training her. And so even though she's a tiny little teacup Pomeranian, literally she's this big. And usually those little dogs are very yappy, but she's trained her not to be. And so like when she sees us, because she knows us, she gets very excited and she gets yappy when she sees us. But, basically she doesn't do things that would be annoying to my daughter's neighbors because she doesn't bark at night or, any of those kinds of things that would be annoying. But one of my daughter's neighbors has a dog that they haven't trained very well. And this dog wakes her up early in the morning and barks late at night. And the neighbor on the other side, the two of them got together and said, they've got to stop this because it's just not fair to us. And this dog needs some training. So I don't know exactly what's happened with that because they told them that if they wouldn't do something about it, they were going to have to go to the strata.
What's a strata?
Well, she lives in a townhouse complex. And so the strata council.
Is it like a homeowners association?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Every strata has that, Carla. Like we live in a strata here and we have a strata committee. And we have AGMs when everybody comes, but the strata committee meets once a month and they go over things like, do we need new siding? Are there leaks anywhere? How are the gardeners doing? Different kinds of things. And then they send reports to everybody. So we get a report every month to find out what's going on. And these places, this is an old complex. And so they've been replacing siding. They had somebody come in and evaluate all the siding. So the stuff that was worrisome is all being replaced. And so there's a guy here every day who's working with our regular handyman, changing the siding in the places where they're worried about leaks and so on. We've had the roofs done. 2 weeks ago, we had the guys in here to clean out the dryer vents. And went into every unit and cleaned out the dryer vents and then went up on the roof and, cleaned out wherever it comes out up there. Yeah. And we actually have a very good strata committee. They pretty much stay on top of things. And so even though this is an old complex, we keep things up pretty well. So like the roofs redone and, they're redoing some of the driveways now because a lot of them have cracks in them and, whatever. So, and some of us had our garage doors changed because they were deteriorating. And so they do stay on top of things. So, that's sort of, makes you feel comfortable.
Yeah, that's nice. Do you have to pay in do you have homeowners association dues or anything like that? Fees?
Yeah. Yes, you have to do that because that's what pays for all this stuff.
Yeah.
So we also have a clubhouse here that has a meeting room. We have an indoor swimming pool and a sauna. And, that also needs maintenance sometimes. Plus, we have gardeners. And they come 2 times a week and do some stuff. I'm not very happy with them, but anyway, that's just me. I don't think they do a great job. I don't think they're very thorough. I would think that gardeners should be doing weeding and blowing all the flowers that fall off my rhododendron plant and stuff. And I'm usually the one that cleans all that up. So I actually complained to one of the gardeners last week. And this week they actually came and cleaned it up. So, that was kind of interesting.
Well, you got to start some other jobs, Sandy.
Well, the thing is this, Carla, otherwise it would, it wasn't getting cleaned up.
I'm kidding. So, yeah.
Just, had to tell them that this is something you need to do. It's part of your job.
Yeah.
If you're a gardener, like we have a automatic sprinkling system that we had installed. And I had the guy that installed it come over and he's got to replace some of the heads, so he's going to come on Friday and do that. But he was walking around and going, boy, these gardeners don't pull any weeds, do they? I said, no, they don't.
Yeah.
They trim and they mow the lawn, and even when they trim, sometimes they don't clean up after themselves. So I get after them. I say, excuse me, you trimmed the hedge, but you didn't sweep up the stuff. So come back.
My husband.
I'm sorry, you're a gardener. This is part of your job. Do it. I went out this morning because I called the sprinkler guy because I'm not sure it's working. And he said, well, go and put it on manual. It'll run for 10 minutes. So while I was out there, I pulled some weeds.
Yeah. My husband says I can't go to the mailbox to get the mail without pulling weeds.
Oh,
And it's true. And it's
you see a weed, you pull it.
So I have no weeds in my yard. Yeah.
I like things neat and tidy. I mean, that's just how I am. Like when we moved in here, friends of ours came over, and in my kitchen, I have very little on my counters. I have a toaster oven, I have a kettle, and I have a bowl where I have bananas. Okay, but the rest of the counters are bare. So when he came in, Arthur comes in and he looks at my kitchen. He goes, "Where's your stuff?" I said, "What are you talking about?"
I don't like to display my stuff.
More machines? I said, yeah, they're in drawers. If I use the machine, I take it out and plug it in on the counter and use it. When I'm done, it goes back in the drawer.
Yeah.
Because counters are my workspace. If they're covered with stuff, I have nowhere to work.
Yeah. Yeah, my husband is like that. We actually have drawers in our garage. It's an old dresser that we had said that we were designated for different tools and things. And then we also have like an old bookshelf. Well, my husband has got stuff, I'm glad he doesn't listen to this, displayed on this bookshelf like they're trophies, you know? And I'm like, that pair of pliers goes in the toolbox. Not up on the shelf, but in the toolbox. When he can't find a screwdriver, I say, go up and look in your desk. Don't you say a damn word, Chris, when we meet for lunch on Sunday.
No, about what? What are you talking about?
Carla,
I'm just a host of a
You
You
show.
did not hear this, okay?
fortunately, my husband is also a neat freak. So Yale and I don't have a lot of issues. So it's, it's quite fine. I mean, he likes to tease me about it, but he understands. And, like if I'm making bread or I'm baking or I'm doing prep, I need my counters. I'm sorry. I got to lay out my ingredients and I got to have my pots and, whatever I need got to be out there. So if you got a whole bunch of stuff on your counters, what are you going to do? Do it on the floor? So, and, I'm in a townhouse, so I don't have an enormous kitchen, but I've got pretty good counter space.
You don't need that much. You don't need that much.
So it's just a matter of what are you used to? And I guess, part of it is being a hygienist, you got to be picky. So, because it's a picky job. So just part of my nature.
Well, you're also used to, you have your little tray and that's it. You don't need anything else. Everything you need is in that little tray and then it gets put away. It gets cleaned and it gets put away.
Well, the stuff gets sterilized and the tray gets cleaned and put into slots so that you can use it for the next patient, It's just a matter of what you're used to. And I don't like clutter. I just do not like clutter. And so like when we moved in here, within a day, everything was put away because ahead of time, I knew where everything was going to go. And so it was just a matter of unpacking the boxes and putting the stuff away. And people couldn't believe it. They came here a few days after we moved in. Where's your stuff? Where's my stuff?
Put away. Exactly where it needs to be.
Exactly. I mean, because again, I don't like clutter.
Yeah.
It makes me very uncomfortable. I like things to be neat and tidy. And it's just, that's why the garden makes me angry, Chris. Because they don't weed it and they don't, and to me, if you're the gardener, don't you want the garden to look like your garden would look if you were, at your house?
Exactly.
Well, obviously he doesn't do his own gardening,
Maybe not.
Evidently. So ladies, I want to dive deeper into the conversation that we had yesterday about community,
Fair enough.
and the topic I want to dive into that really truly goes into the community. I even dare say even more so, the power of community. I truly believe that there's a power in a network of people or a coalition of people who are basically literally locking arms, hand in hand, and saying, "Hey, we can do this." That's how movements get started. That's how collaboration starts. That's how ideas really truly get formed and everything like that. So I'll go and start with you, Carla. Do you see the power of community, whether to be in the workplace or even in the same community that you live in? I mean, what say you?
I've always seen the power of community because people that work together as a community, no one can do anything on their own. And I've always loved the power of community because there's power in numbers. And that community and that mindset is what makes changes in this world.
That is true.
No man is an island.
No.
Sandy, what say you?
Well, see, even where I live, okay, and this is a townhouse community, and we do things together. Like it's actually really cool. And because we don't necessarily socialize a lot together, okay, but we all know each other and we talk on the street and so on and so forth. And some people are really avid gardeners, and we like to see what they're doing. But what's really nice about it is it feels very safe because we all know who each other is and the cars they drive and even the cars that their families drive. And when you go away, you tell your neighbors. And a few of my neighbors have keys to my house and I have keys to their house. And so we check the house when they're away. And, it's a huge relief, if you will, or just, it makes you feel comfortable that that people are looking out for you.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels very safe. We have also, this is not a place where thieves would enjoy because there's only one way in, and the backside of these townhouses is on a golf course. Not an easy place to get away. And, plus it's just the way it's set up, it's not very attractive to thieves. So we really don't have very many incidents here. On top of which, we all know who belongs here. And if there's somebody wandering around that doesn't belong, we're going to ask them what they're doing because, everybody does that. And so it's very unlikely that something terrible would happen here because we all keep an eye out. And a lot of the people that live here are old. In fact, we have 200-year-olds that live in this complex.
Oh, wow.
But most of the people walk, and, we see them walking around. Like my sister-in-law walks with a walker now, and she goes for walks any days that it's pleasant. And one of the guys that's 100, he walks with his wife and a caregiver. And they walk every day that it's not raining. And they live near us, so, we know them. And, it's just, that's the strength of this community. We all look out for each other, and we help each other. And we make decisions together at our AGMs. And if we need to have extra meetings, the strata committee calls them, and we get together to talk about if there's some issue, like when we had to redo the roofs and when we decided we were going to redo some of the siding, all this kind of thing. We get together, and they brought somebody in to determine which areas of the siding needed to be replaced. And, plus we have a handy guy who comes every day. And Dave, the roofs here are flat. And so he goes up on the roofs and he sweeps all the, the leaves and flowers and stuff that would clog our drains. And he gets up there and he blows it all away and takes it off. And,
Wow.
And he does handiwork around here. Like if we need something, he'll power wash the sidewalks, or he'll, whatever you need. We pay him extra, if he comes and does something specific for you. But he does a lot of stuff just because that's part of his job. And he's very handy and he's very nice. He's a Filipino man. He's lovely. I mean, he's just so sweet. And we all know him and he knows all of us. So, again, this is a very strong community that we live together. We look out for each other, and it's nice. It really is. And it's the same thing when you volunteer. Because if you do volunteer work, then your group is also a community. And generally we're on the same page and we work on projects together. And that's also fun. It makes it interesting. But again, the more collaborative things are, the stronger the community is and the more you can accomplish. So it is very true that, and when you work in an office, that's your community. And if you're not helping each other and looking out for each other and working together in an appropriate manner, it's not going to be fun and you're not going to be very successful. So it really does need to be a place where people are aware of each other and are listening to each other and are helping one another. And if we do that, then we're going to have a very successful business that's going to last a long time. So, it's just a matter of how that gets set up and how people act in it. And if they can do these things, and like Carla said yesterday, if you're really busy and you didn't get something done, somebody else say, don't worry, I'll take care of that for you. No problem. Well, that's a really good team. That means that you've got a strong community because everybody is seeing what needs to be done. And if it's not getting done, somebody else picks up the slack. Okay, perfect. And that makes it a very good community.
Yes. And ladies, I want to share something with you that I truly believe it is a powerful thing, and it is really something that I just know in my heart of hearts. It's really goes to the power of community, and it is really, really something special. So this is what none other than Henry Ducard said years ago. He said, if you devote yourself to an ideal, and if they can't stop you, then you become something else entirely. And I truly believe that goes to community. Wouldn't you guys agree?
Well, yeah. It's, again, Chris, when people are working together, there's nothing like it. I mean, there's absolutely nothing like it when people are pulling together and working together on something. It's amazing.
It's such a great feeling.
Yeah, it is a great feeling, Carla. And it's an amazing, amazing experience to have that. And, people that don't have that, they're missing something. They're really missing the opportunity to enjoy their job and enjoy the people they work with and accomplish great things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You do it on your own. I mean, you just cannot do everything on your own. It just doesn't work that way. You need to work with other people. Particularly,
it's a fun way to exist. You get tired of yourself,
Well, that's true too, Carla.
I do myself all day long. I'm tired of this. I need to hang out.
It's also more fun to do something with other people.
It is.
There's no question about it. And so, that's what I said, that, believe it or not, in the dental office, when my dad was, running it, we had fun. I mean, we absolutely had fun in the office. And a lot of people think a dental office, it's fun, like, just couldn't believe it. But our patients enjoyed themselves. They were well taken care of. They were welcomed when they came in because the receptionist knew everybody's name. And we all did too, because of course you got your worksheet up there. So, you remind yourself. And, you can say, oh, hi, Chris, how are you doing? Did you have a good week? Well, come on in. We're going to clean your teeth up today, whatever. And it's just people, the sweetest sound to anyone's ears is the sound of their own name. So, when you welcome them with their name, it's a whole different experience. And that's why it have a lot of turnover, so that the people, every time they come in, they don't know anybody and nobody knows them. It's not comfortable. It's not pleasant. So again, that's the community that you work in, when we all work together and we share stories, so that, if we have a difficult patient, maybe somebody had success with them, let's hear what you did. So the next time we have to deal with them, we can try it too. It's just a matter of how do we help each other. And one of the things that we did in the office is we used to do dry runs on emergencies. Like if this happens, what do you do? Who calls 911? Who gets out, whatever. And if somebody isn't there that day, who takes over that role? Like we would role play this stuff so that if there was, God forbid, some kind of emergency in the office, everybody knew what to do. And that way, we could handle it effectively and make sure that the person got the help they needed as quickly as we could manage it, because we all knew what to do. And, there's just lots of things that you can do when you work collaboratively and when you have a really strong community together that, you feel good. You look at what you accomplished today. We did this and whatever. And it's just a matter of how is it set up? And usually that setup gets started by whoever is the leader of the organization, whatever it is. And my dad just always wanted people to be comfortable. And he knew that a lot of people who come to the dentist are not comfortable. They're stressed out, they're anxious. And that's why I told you, he didn't always use injections. He used hypnosis on some patients that were really afraid of needles and whatever. He would hypnotize them so they didn't have to have needles, and then he could work on them. And they loved it. They absolutely loved it. So, it depends what you do, but he wanted his patients to be happy. Mm-hmm. He wanted them to be comfortable in the dental office, not anxious and stressful, because that made all of us anxious and stressful, because it comes off of them in waves,
Well, if they're not comfortable, they're not going to come back.
That's also true, Carla.
Yeah.
So, it's a matter of how are you taking care of your customers, your clients, your patients, whatever it is you're dealing with. How are you doing it? And is everybody on the same page? Are we all doing the same kind of stuff? Because if we are, we're going to keep our customers, we're going to keep our clients, we're going to keep our patients.
Right.
And if not, there can be a problem.
Yeah. Well, I know just in terms of dentistry, it's kind of sad that the corporations have taken over dentistry, like the dentist that I go to that I'm allowed to go to with my health plan. I've seen all three of the hygienists every time I go. I see somebody different. And then I've never seen the same dentist twice that just breathes in, looks at my teeth and said, "You're good." For me as a healthcare professional, I'm okay, because I'm like, cool, I'm in here to get my teeth cleaned. I'm glad everything's okay. I don't need to, But for other people that don't have that comfort level, it's important for them to have that continuity of care.
Absolutely.
Right.
And a great environment to be in,
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Hello, Deneen. How are you doing today?
Still can't get her video or audio going.
Your device is still not working. I apologize again, Deneen. We would love to hear from you. I apologize. I don't know if it's your tablet that's not working or whatever, because support for this platform. We may end up having. It's not compatible.
Compatible.
Sorry about that, Deneen. Well, it should be able to work on any kind of mobile browser or web browser. So
try your cell phone.
Yeah.
That's an idea, Carla.
Yeah.
Try your cell phone.
Yeah, try your cell phone, Deneen, and just click on the link and do it through your cell phone.
It should take you right to the website.
Because we've had other people that have been on their cell phones.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do it from your mobile browser. Just use LinkedIn and use that invitation, and you can get on through that way, because it should be able to pick up your microphone and camera through your phone.
Yeah, should.
But like I said, ladies, I just know that there's a power in the community. I truly do, because it's like, well, I saw today at work, one of the prep people at the restaurant that I work at was really so down and out because someone, again, for now 3 straight weeks, didn't show up for work. And
on the whole team.
Yeah. So I ended up pitching in, and because we even had a huge catering to do. So I helped in catering, helped out in prep, of course, did my own stuff in dishes and everything like that. So I just was everywhere. But thank the Lord it was slow today, because if it was busy, I don't know what I would have done, because to try to do a catering, try to help out prep, try to help out. Just too much. But see, again,
Where was the manager?
the manager was there, but the general manager wasn't there today because he was in meetings all day. So, again, it's about getting to that point that when we recognize when someone is not there, it's either pulling their weight or someone can't do the things that they would normally do because, like I said again, that person who should have been there called out yet again and had one person to do two people's job.
There's a kink in the chain, the process.
Exactly. And see, that's where we got to have a mind shift set, at least from my point of view, that when we just let go of those things that are driven from the negative mindset, whether it be ego, whether it be greed, whether it be whatever that might be for us, because what's happening, and the prep lady there today was saying, hey, the reason why I'm seeing this happen is I guarantee you is because they're only here for a paycheck. They're not here to really contribute more to the team, more so than what they're getting paid for. But then again, I truly believe what we're building here, which showed that dynamic totally in the 180 reverse for the positive, that if you truly feel like you're a part of something that you really know that goes to your principles, goes to your values, goes to you what you do innately as a person, that value comes through to you when Sandy says, hey, Chris, you did an excellent job today. Appreciate you. Same thing with Carla. Carla, you did an excellent job today. And that carries so much more leverage.
That's valuable.
Yes.
You can't put a price on that.
No,
we don't tell each other that enough, and it's not like it's got to be a kumbaya work environment or anything like that. But we need to get along with the people that we work with, and not just get along. We need to integrate and work together and know each other on more than just a 9-to-5 basis. We need to know what they're about, because if you have, like, let's just say there's a mom working for you and she's always calling out sick, and it's not necessarily for her, but maybe your kids are always sick and she doesn't have childcare. And when you know those kind of things, you can understand a lot better,
Absolutely. But,
and not just say, I just feel like I need a mental health day.
Right.
Yeah, because we would all like to have a mental health day, So, it's just knowing people on a deeper level.
and appreciating what they do, Carla, and thanking them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need to make a huge deal out of it, but thanks for coming in early this morning. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Look how much more we got done because you were here. Thank you so much. It's just a matter of, and again, when people notice that something needs to be done, even if it's not their job, whatever the heck that means, but they see that it's not getting done and it needs to get done because of what we're doing, and they just roll up their sleeves and go and do it.
Well, a good example, I ran into that as I used to have somebody. I wasn't in management, thank God, but I knew someone that came in early, and I was usually the first one in the office, and that was just the way I always was. And when I came in, she was already there, and she was actually working on sorting charts and making kind of like piles of, these are labs to be called, these are things that need phone calls and things. And I said, oh, hey, what are you doing here? And she says, well, I have to leave early, so I decided to come in early. And I mean, she's literally just, sorting everything to make it easier for us to say, okay, I'm gonna do the lab review, I'm gonna do the phone calls or whatever, which is great, as opposed to other people that would come in and go, well, I came in early because I have to leave early, and they're sitting there and eating their breakfast.
Oh, that's really helpful.
Yeah, that's why I'm not in management.
Well, and you see what used to happen in the dental office, if I had a cancellation, so then I had an hour with nothing to do. Yeah. So I would go into the front office. Do you need charts pulled? Do you need charts filed? Do you need phone calls made? Is there anything I can do for you guys? Or I go into the clinic. Does anybody need an extra hand? Because otherwise I just found it boring.
I did that when I would do clinical for when I was in graduate school in my nurse practitioner program. One day we had some people that had canceled, and we had like a 2-hour break, and I reorganized their sample closet.
There you go.
And threw out all sorts of crap that was outdated and whatnot, and I just reorganized everything. And they're like, "Wow." I said, "Well,
then, I could also go to the phone and see if there were things that needed to be ordered, and then I could get on the phone and call the dental supply companies and order, stuff that needed to be ordered. I mean, again, it's not rocket science. It's just a matter of looking around and seeing what needs doing if you have some extra time to do something.
And I'll tell you who's a great one at that. Yeah. My wife. My gosh, when she's in that pharmacy, she knows what vials she needs to order, what needs to be done as far as her McKesson orders, all that kind of stuff. She knows the lay of the landscape of what comes in and what goes out and what needs to be done. She knows. But when she delegates it to others, there's where that shift comes into play to where, again, I'm only here to do said job. I'm only going to do X amount of things. It's almost like again, I'll go back to my friend who was working in prep today. She said, it just seems like people are just wanting to do the bare minimum.
It's like, that's not my job.
Yeah.
Not my job.
Yeah. And see, I don't believe in that. I believe if you can do, again, going back to what John C. Maxwell says in the 21 Year for Laws of Leadership, if you can give your 1% and give that 100%, take that 1% that they're giving. Don't expect them to try to do more than they either want to do or they can't do because of the tools that they do not have in front of them.
But it's part of being a team. You see that something needs to be done and it's not being done and it's going to make an impact because it's not getting done, then roll up your sleeves and do it if you've got a couple minutes to take care of it. It's, again, this is not rocket science. It's just a matter of working together appropriately, being a good team member, being a good community member, whatever you want to call it. It's seeing that something needs to be done and rolling up your sleeves and doing it. And if it's the manager who does it, well, even better, because that sets an example. Well, look at a good example. Yeah. No, it's not their job, but so what? It obviously needed to be done and there was nobody doing it. So they picked up the broom and they swept the floor.
Yeah. Right. Don't do anything that you wouldn't do yourself.
Yeah. It just doesn't make any sense that if there's nobody else to do it and you don't have anything to do right this minute, well then pick up the broom and do it. How hard is that? So again, it's just a matter of seeing what needs to be done. And if you've got a couple of extra minutes because you finished early or, something, whatever, then just do it. That's what a team does. They help each other.
Well, I think that, especially now with COVID going on, that people are starving for community.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, they are, Carla, because we can't meet with our friends and our family. And so, not being able to connect. Human beings are very social creatures, and not being able to connect with their friends is exceedingly difficult. It's very, very hard.
It truly is.
I agree.
That's why I told you, when I go for a walk, if we walk in a different neighborhood, I take my phone. And if we walk by a house that it belongs to a friend, I phone them from the sidewalk. Hey, you guys home? Good. Come out on your porch. We'll have a visit.
Yeah.
And we're physically distanced because we're on the sidewalk, they're on their front porch, and we can have a visit. And they love it because they're in the same boat as everybody else. They don't get to see people. Right. So this way, they get to see somebody because I've invited them to come out and chat with us.
Yeah.
So, sometimes my friends will call me after that. Well, that was really great. Thanks for coming by, whatever.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize how much they've missed it until they have a good experience like that. And then they're like, oh, I really missed that,
Well, and we do. Because, you can't have a big bubble right now because you don't know what other people are doing in terms of who they're connecting with or, seeing or whatever, because maybe somebody's connected with someone who has been exposed to COVID or whatever. We don't know. So you can't have a big bubble right now. And that makes it very hard. I mean, I told you, we've kept ours very small.
Yeah.
I worry too much that,
So,
forbid, if my husband got this, it would be terrible.
Yeah.
So, he's old and he's male and he's got high blood pressure and he's had asthma. It would be very bad for Yale if he got this virus. So, I don't want him to get this. So we are very careful, very careful.
So Deneen, I know you able to not have your audio working, but I know you probably can type it in the chat. How powerful is community to you in the places that you worked at, Deneen, and of course maybe even where you live? How powerful is the power of community to you? And like I said, when you get a chance, like I said, type it out. We would love to hear from you. Because like I said, I just know it's there. We just got to tap into it. Just really make people feel like they're a part of something. They really need to innately feel they're not just there for the 9 to 5 paycheck. They're not just there to do X job and that's it. I want more than that. And I know there's a lot of people that definitely want to feel like they not only are heard and they can express their humanity in their own unique way, but it's just like what you said time and time again, Sandy. When you go into a restaurant or retail store or whatever, and you just feel that
You feel the vibes.
yeah, you just know the vibe. It's just something's off here.
When you work somewhere, Chris, you want to feel that you're part of it. That somehow you fit in well and you're accepted and you're valued and all those kinds of things. And that's when you have a good community. When, you feel that you're a part of that organization and you're an important part, because everybody should be an important part of where they work, because we all contribute our skills and our abilities and our experience and so on and so forth. And that's what makes up a community or a team or whatever you want to call it. And it's important that those different skills are brought to the table so that the team can function well and achieve whatever it is they're trying to achieve.
Well, when you feel like you're part of a team or part of a community, you don't want to let the team down. And so you put more effort into showing up. You hold yourself accountable, but more importantly, when you are part of a team and you feel appreciated and everybody enjoys being together, you look forward to going to work, which I think is really missing these days.
Yeah.
People tell me, well, yeah, I do my 9 to 5, it pays the bills. I'm just like, I hope you've got to do something that does more than pay the bills.
Yeah.
So
it's something fun.
So let me ask you this then, ladies. Is part of that power of community stems from value? Like I said before, I truly believe the next currency of humanity is value. Is that a part of that power within the community? Is that very value that we give people every day?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Feel acknowledged and valued and appreciated, then you're going to work even harder to keep proving that you deserve that. And, besides, it's good to contribute and see the fruits of your labor, if you will, in terms of how you have added to what you're doing. And, everybody should feel good about what they're doing. So if you're doing your job well and you're helping out in certain situations when you have an extra minute or two, then you're going to be a valuable member of this community. And people are going to value you and appreciate you. And the more we do that, then the better the community or the team is. Because if we know we can rely on each other, hey, we're laughing. We really are. It's, again, none of this is rocket science. I mean, it's really not. But it is human behavior, Chris. And it is the way of creating and developing and managing and maintaining a good community. So, whether you call it a culture or you call it a community, it doesn't matter. But it's very important that it be respectful, that it be acknowledging, that you show that you value them, and that people have things to do, but that they are trained in some of the other things that maybe have to be done, so that, you know, they're cross-trained, which means that they can help out in an area that maybe isn't their usual job, but if somebody needs an extra hand, then they're capable and able to pick it up and do it. And that's where, you know, cross-training, especially in different situations, is really good, so that people know they can do other things that they maybe don't normally do.
I agree. And see, that's why I'm so passionate about building this with you guys, because I know it's a new way of being, to be honest with you, because, and like I said, I could be completely wrong with this, but I think humanity for so long hasn't felt like that very community they live in is the very same, by very definition, that community they work in. They separate themselves because they're thinking home is home, work is work. They can't interconnect the two. And and see, I truly believe that's totally the 180 reverse of that. We can't say that there's clone Chris going to work at restaurant when home Chris can be there. So my clone will go to work for me. Or but it's almost like the Jekyll and Hyde mentality. Oh, I'm going to be Mr. Jekyll at work, but I could be Mr. Hyde at home. No, you have to be who you are and what you do and what you say and what you stand by and what you stand for, even at work, even at home. Because if you differentiate the two, between the two, what's going to happen is they will going to say, "Hey, wait a minute. You telling me one thing at work, but yet you're doing the complete opposite at home, and I saw you do it. Why are you projecting that outwards that way?" And I can't live like that. And I don't know about you ladies, but could you diametrically end up putting yourself to, hey, I become the very robot I've never become at work? Could you ever do that, ladies?
I never brought it home. I never became a robot at home, but I felt like that there was a definite separation between who I was at work, the professional side of me, and then the family side of me.
Mm-hmm.
The values were the same, and what I would put up with and not put up were the same, but I never took any struggles that were going on at home into work with me. It was almost like they were compartmentalized.
Right.
So I had the professional side of me, and when I was that professional, it was like that was who I was. I was still the same compassionate, caring, respectful person that I was at home. But I think what happens is people say, you know, the joke is, hey, well, you know, I'm Mr. Serious at work and I'm a real party animal at home. And so that automatically divides people. And I think a lot of that division was already there. So they kind of tacked on other things to that division. But I was always the same person in terms of my values at work and that I was at home.
I agree.
It's hard to explain. Now, that's not to say that I'm Miss Professional at work and then I'm a party animal, because I'm certain I like to have a good time, but I'm, you know, but it's I am who I am regardless. I mean, I can have fun at work too.
Right.
To have fun at work.
I love having fun at work.
Well, and
you know, keeps you from
I miss giving the live workshops, because they're much more fun than webinars.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have fun because I bring games and I bring prizes, and we do different kinds of exercises, and I also, you know, will do prizes and stuff. Okay, I'm not answering.
and you're right. Janine, fun at work, less stress, work hard, play hard. But see, playing hard is different to every person. So that's going to be that's going to be different from each person to the next. So I want to
Some
share
people
this,
play more than they work.
That's true, Carla.
Mhm.
but I'm going to share this great quote yet again from John C. Maxwell, where he says, "People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care," and that is so true. I mean, I just can't say that enough. That is so true, and see, that goes to the power of community.
Absolutely.
You
I mean,
know,
that's the human piece. If we don't care, I mean, you have to care about the people that are your customers, your clients, your patients, but you also have to care about the people with whom you work. And, I mean, I'm also the same person at home and at work, Carla, because I have very strong values about certain things and expectations in terms of how things should be done. And, I'm hard on myself because of that. It just is what it is. And I'm not necessarily hard on other people because it doesn't matter, but it's just me. I mean, I like things to be a certain way. I like it to be neat. I like it to, whatever it is. And so I'm hard on myself from that perspective. And the reason I am is because my dad was hard on me. It's an expectation that, no matter what I did, it wasn't ever good enough unless I was, perfect.
right?
I don't know any human beings that are perfect, but I aspired, to be the best I could. Because, like I did a lot of sport, and if I ran a race and won the race, so he wouldn't just say, "Oh, good, you won the race." He'd say, "Why didn't you break the record?" It's never good enough. One of my cousins said to me once, because her dad was my dad's brother, and she said, "How did you manage? I mean, what would have happened if you couldn't have done all the things that you did?" I said, "I don't know. It would have been even worse than it was."
Yeah.
So, it was just an expectation that I had to be perfect.
Yeah.
And I'm the oldest in the family too. So anything that my siblings did that was bad, it was my fault. How come I didn't make sure they didn't do that?
Right. And I'm glad you brought up about perfection, Sandy. I truly do. The one thing I've embraced, especially when I was diagnosed with my two gifted abilities, not disabilities, but my abilities,
Mhm.
is my teachers right from the bat told me you don't have to be perfect and just get it to where you know how to understand and how you understand it. It's like when my speech therapist for many years told me when I was in speech therapy, Chris, if you have to take it one letter at a time, take it one letter at a time. If that's what you got to do, you have to do. And that's part of the retraining process and mind shifts process that you say, wait a minute, if I'm going a mile a minute, and it's just like I was talking to somebody on Clubhouse this morning when it comes to, about your brand. And they say for people to catch your brand, you got to be able to go down the freeway at 150 miles an hour, and they got to be able in a split second catch what the story of who you are. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, you know what? What if we could just slow down for a little bit to hear the story? You
Yeah.
know, I mean, wouldn't that make sense to be able to see that and to hear that?
Well, there's a difference between saying everything you want to say in 100, at 150 miles an hour and writing a dissertation. So that, when people ask you what you do, you need to, they talk about coming up with your elevator pitch. What would you do if you were in an elevator with somebody for 20 to 30 seconds, which is about 3 or 4 sentences,
Yeah.
And then, there's other occasions where you can talk about your story, before this, and this is what I found. And since I've done X, this is what's happened in my life. And that kind of tells your more like your 30-second story.
Right.
And but I think people need to get to know each other, just like John C. Maxwell said. I mean, like, if you're promoting something, whether it be a service or a product or whatever, people want to know that you actually care about them and the problems that they have. not just the fact that you're selling them a product, you know?
Well, that's why you have to listen, Carla. You know, that's why I've said many times the most important communication skill is active listening. A lot of people, most people, in fact, think they're good listeners. But the truth is, most of us are not. And the reason that we're not is it's a very hard thing to do because there are many, many distractions that make it difficult to focus on one person speaking. And so it's a matter of how important it is to you that you actually do that. And, you know, again, you don't know if you're talking to someone who is tired or hungry, not feeling very well, or has a problem of their own. And all those things are going to supersede anything you're saying to them. And like when I do my workshop on active listening, I have a little video that I show. And it's a CEO talking to her management team. And we get to hear what's going on in the heads of most of the people sitting in that audience, which of course we never get to do because we're not mind readers. But we get to hear what's going on in their head. So just because somebody is sitting there looking at you and looking like they're listening doesn't mean they are. And, you know, it's a matter of understanding. You've got to get some feedback from people, particularly when you're giving instructions or directions, because otherwise you're not going to get what you want. So nobody's going to be happy. And to say to someone, did you understand me? They're going to say yes.
Of course, yeah.
They don't want you to think that they're stupid or that they weren't paying attention. So that's not the right question to ask. The right question to ask is, what do you think I expect of you? And that way, you'll get a very different answer in terms of now they're going to have to tell you what they heard.
Yeah.
And if they didn't hear it, and, you know, they didn't hear it. So then we know already that we've got to explain it again. So it's just a matter of, again, how are you communicating? Are you doing it in a way that's effective? Are you paying attention? Are they paying attention? And you have to get feedback to find out if they are, because otherwise we don't get what we want, and then everybody's upset.
So what was in the video?
Oh, so in the video, you see the scene when she's talking to her team about a merger, okay? And one woman is sitting there and she's got the handout in front of her. And she's going, oh, why do we have to go over this every time? We know about marketing. We've been doing marketing for years. Like, why do I have to, you know, read all this and listen to this over and over again? And one of the guys is sitting there and he's looking at the CEO and he's going, oh, that's a really nice scarf Jessica has on. My wife's birthday is next week. I'm going to have to ask Jessica where she got that scarf so I can get one for my wife. You know, so I mean, he's focused on his wife's birthday. He's not listening to what she's saying. You know, and it sort of went around the room, and not everybody, you didn't hear what everybody was, but you heard about half a dozen of them, what they were thinking. And they weren't obviously paying attention to what she was telling them. They had their own things going on. And
I actually stopped by the store on my way home from work today, you know, or sitting in church, my husband will look over at me and goes, hey, why don't we go out to lunch after church?
So he's not listening to the sermon. So I mean,
but ladies, there's also another dynamic I want to bring up too as well. Do leaders in a lot of our organizations today? I'm not mentioning managers because managers and leaders are two different dynamics. But do our leaders in our organizations today, do they truly recognize the community that's in their organizations, or is there that big disconnect because they don't see a community in their organization? They just look at them as, like I say, a name and a number. What say you, Carla?
I can't think of any organizations that I want to throw under the bus, but I would hope that they would think of community.
I think some do and some don't. I think it depends on the person. And the people who really care about the people that work with them and, you know that it's important for them to be involved and to know who the people are that work for them, then they're going to do that, Chris. But a lot of them sort of set themselves apart, and especially if they're control freaks and self-centered, and then they won't really know the people that work for them very well. And that's not helpful. It's not helpful to them. It's not helpful to the people that work with them. So it's very important for a leader to get to know people that they are.
What this is what Deneen says, and she said it depends on the leader, and she has seen both.
Yeah.
So, but to me, a literally about not oneself, but truly serving others. And when we go outside of ourselves and see the organization for what it is and not for what it isn't. And again, I will go back to Brian on this. He's told me and shown me this way that if we can take a situation or a conversation that we take it for what it is and not what it isn't, then there can be a point of transformation within that experience that can be shared. It's tangible. People around that experience will share it and understand it for what it is and what now it isn't. Now you say, Deneen, a servant leader is non-servant leader, not always. Explain on that, Deneen. We would love to hear more about that. I'm hoping I'm reading that right.
Well, as she's typing, servant leadership can be something you can carry from your daily life into your work life.
Servant leader
is compassionate. Well, it means they, they care about their people.
Okay, I get it now. She said a non-servant leader is not. Yeah. I got it. A non-servant leader does not really care and has. Again, I tell this to you all every day. If we start leading with our humanity, those things are right there in our toolbox, so to speak. Our compassion, our understanding, our forgiveness, all those things so makes us who we are. They're there. We just have to make that, again, what I've learned from Brian Sumner, is make that choice.
Well, I don't feel that it's really something like I've got to pull out my compassion. I have to pull out my caring about people. I have to pull out this, that, or the other out of my toolbox. You start practicing it and it becomes natural. You don't even have to think about it.
Correct.
Well, and again, some people are just naturally that way. So even though they're in a leadership position, that's who they are. And that's the way they deal with people in general. But again, like we discussed yesterday, it doesn't mean that a person can't learn to do this if they really make a difference in their community. And the best way to do that is to get a coach or take a course so that you can learn that, yes, compassion is very important. And you've got to listen very carefully to get to know the people that work with you. And if you can do that, you will have far more success and you will be able to be much more successful at helping them to fulfill their potential. And then everybody wins, because when people have fulfilled their potential, they have more confidence, they have higher self-esteem, so they're going to work better. And when that happens, the team benefits. I mean, it's a win-win for everybody. But it is up to the leadership to recognize the potential in the people that they work with and help them to fulfill that potential. And there are lots of ways that can be done, but it can't be done if you're not paying attention.
Right. But what wasn't it Zig Ziglar who said it? And of course, John C. Maxwell kind of did his own take on it. But what he said years ago is, if you help others get what they want, you get what you want.
Absolutely.
It's like, I help you, you help me, we help we. It's the same thing.
Yes.
Exactly. I mean, it's not that hard, but you have to pay attention. If you're not listening and you're not paying attention, you will miss those opportunities.
Mm-hmm. The kink comes if you're helping someone and they're supposed to reciprocate and help you and they don't, then neither one of you are going to win. But in the end, you're leading by example.
Exactly.
So you win to some extent, yeah.
Well, yeah. And when you put it into context that if you give and you don't expect anything else in return, but it's the right thing to do, you're going to get more out of it down the line. It's just going to naturally happen.
Absolutely.
I just know what we're going to be standing for is that very model. that we will give to such an extent. Most companies, of course, are going to be kind of money driven and everything, but we see that balance from influence to impact. We can do it from the standpoint of field of dreams. If you build it, they will come. And if you can build that field of dreams with an organization, with a leader who's struggling, or a manager who's struggling, whatever that might be, even a person who's the janitor of all people, you just have to invest in them diametrically. I even say by design to a certain degree, that you're literally willing to say, I'm letting go of what I fear to lose, and I'm going to invest in Carla. Carla's going to invest in me. Sandy's going to invest in me. I'll invest in Sandy. Janine's going to invest in Chris. I mean, all of that's going to be there. And see, I truly believe if we unite to what really unites us all versus what people have been telling us for probably many years, that what divides us, we can have a better stronghold in not only leading with our humanity, but we can express our humanity in our unique way to be productive, to be a part of it, to understand our place in space and all that, especially at work. And once we realize that, I mean, the positivity and the power of possibility is right for us to share it with people and say, hey, this is what you can do. Maybe I can be that guide on Carla's hero's journey, because I know Carla can be the very hero. I know she can be, or even the leader I know she can be. I even dare to say, what if the hero that we look into for the answers and they know all the solutions or whatever, what if it's the actual guide who is actually the true hero of the show?
Well, see, part of that, Chris, of what you're saying, it's the difference between talking the talk and walking the walk. A leader needs to demonstrate the things that they expect other people to do. And if they demonstrate it, then there's a far better chance that other people will follow suit. But if they just talk the talk and they don't actually do anything, then, it's just talk. And so people don't care. I mean, they really don't. But if the leader, like I said, if a manager picks up a broom and starts sweeping the floor, or, a leader does something else that you totally don't expect them to do, well, you stand back and you go, wow, look at that. Or if a leader admits that they made a mistake and they own a mistake and they say how they're going to fix it, well, that's being accountable. And if they do it, then the expectation is, okay, well, if I make a mistake, I guess I'm going to have to own it too, and I'll have to figure out a way to fix it or get some help to fix it or whatever. And it's just a matter of how are we leading? If we're leading by example and we're leading by showing that we care and so on and so forth, we're going to have a far better community, just far, far better, because then the leader is human.
And and this comes to what Brian said to me and to one of our calls too as well. Leaders don't have to know it all. They don't. They just have to be, like what Deneen just says, leaders need to be accessible. That is absolutely true. You have to have access to the people that you know. And
but here's the thing. It's not just being accessible. People have to feel comfortable to go to them. Because their experience when they've gone to them has been negative, then whether they're accessible or not, people still won't come to them. But if when they go to them, they're supportive and they're encouraging and they're helping.
So let me ask you this, Sandy. What happens if they're out of touch from a leadership perspective? What happens with that?
Well, that means that they've separated themselves from their people, and people will feel that distance.
Oh, I remember one manager I had, and anytime she'd show up in the office, everybody was like, oh my God, why is she here? What was wrong? Who did something wrong? Who's going to be the next person to go? Whereas other managers that I've had that have been totally open and as a true team member were like, hey, how are you? How's it going? Because there was no threat involved. You knew that she wasn't there just to check up on everybody, because she was like, "Hey, I was just coming to make sure everything was okay. Let's all go do lunch." You know,
It's a whole different way of approaching things, Carla.
Yeah.
it's
And-
a
and-
totally different approach.
Yeah.
People
and-
figure it out very quickly. You know, if there's a leader or a manager that every time they come, somebody gets into trouble.
Yeah.
You know, and they get yelled at and, you know, finger pointing and blaming, and everybody else feels like they're walking around on eggshells and they're wondering when they're going to get yelled at. This is not a good leader.
Right.
It isn't.
And Deneen, I'm so glad that you're engaging with us, even though I'm sorry that you had to do it through the chat as you're doing right now, but we greatly appreciate you being here and sharing your insights and your experience, because I don't want no one to be out of touch. I really don't. We don't want to be so disconnected from where we are, because, again, I learned this from John C. Maxwell. If you can meet people where they are, you can get to know what they are needs and everything is. So I will go to you, Miss Carla. How do we tap into the power of community, and what will be the call to action to get to that?
Tap into the community by truly getting to know the people that you're working with and understand them. And I guess that would be my call to action too.
Well, you also got to appreciate them.
Yeah, appreciate them. Show them that you care, and don't ask them to do something that you wouldn't do yourself. It's not hard.
It's really not that hard. It's just a matter of, Chris, being human. You know, if you're nice to people, it's the old story. You get what you give. You know, if you're nice to people and you support them and you encourage them and you help them to be the best they can be, then if you need something from them, they're going to be more than happy to do it for you.
Yeah.
You've helped
Make
them.
sure that if somebody comes to you, if you're a leader and somebody comes to you and tells you something in confidence, that you keep it in confidence, that you don't go blabbing it to other people, and that you don't pit people against each other and badmouth other people in front of other people. That's just, it's not right. I mean, I don't care whether you say it's professional or not. Let's get really basic. It's just not right. You just don't do that. You just don't talk about other people. If you're going to say something, make sure you're going to say something and it's something you would say to their face.
Right. And something that's nice. You know, if somebody's having a problem and you have, you know, instead of finger pointing and blaming, say, okay, well, it looks like we have a problem here, Carla.
How are we going to solve it? Yeah.
What do you think we should do? And so, you know, you can come up with some things. So are those things that you think you can take care of yourself? Because if you can, you go ahead and take care of that. And if you run into a snag, you come right back to me and I'll be very happy to help you.
Right.
If that's the way things are dealt with, then a person won't be afraid to come to you with a problem.
Yeah.
And there'll be a whole different relationship between the leader and the employee. And it's just a matter of how do you deal with things. People who finger point and blame and yell, all they do is antagonize and push people away. But people who handle it in a more supportive and encouraging manner, and who make themselves available to help you if you run into a snag and can't solve it all yourself, then, you know, and the other thing you can say before they go off, so Carla, before you go off to fix this, the next time this situation arises, what do you think you should do that you didn't do this time? So we ended up with the problem. So how would you handle this differently the next time you face this? Okay, that's great. And again, you go ahead and take care of it. And if you run into any kind of problems, you come back to me and I'll be very happy to help you with it. And that way, you know, how's the person going to feel? They're going to feel that they can come to that leader and help, because they will actually help them. And
or you can just go into a leader and say, hey, I'm looking at a problem. Can I brainstorm with you?
Yeah, exactly.
And feeling like you're not going to be dealt with, well, that was stupid. Why do you think of that? You know? And really be able to say, well, I was thinking about this, but then I was thinking about it this way. What do you think? You know, and put it on. I mean, we all put our pants on one leg at a time, just like everybody else.
So Deneen, what will be your call to action of tapping into the power of community?
Maybe
And,
while she's typing, Sandy can tell hers.
yeah, what is your call to action, Sandy?
Well, I really think that leaders who listen to their people and pay attention to their people are the ones that are going to get the best community possible.
Mhm.
And people who don't pay attention and who push people away because they're not nice to them and they don't help them and they don't acknowledge their value and so on and so forth, you're not going to have a good community. And again, this is not rocket science. It's not that hard. It's just a matter of paying attention. And by paying attention means you're listening. And if you can do that, you're going to learn about your people. And if you learn about them, you're going to know how to handle them. Because you'll quote unquote which buttons to press for different people so that you can get the best out of them. Again, this is not rocket science. It's not that hard, but it's something that needs to be practiced. And again, like I said, good leaders need to walk the walk. Talking the talk isn't good enough. They need to show by example that they are willing to do the things that they expect you to do. And if they demonstrate the behaviors they want, you have a far better chance that people will emulate that. If
Right.
not, then, why would they care? I mean, that's, the other side of it. Why would they care? But if you, especially if you make a mistake and you say, hey guys, I'm really sorry. This was my mistake.
Mhm.
Here's what I'm going to do about it. It has nothing to do with you and I'm going to fix it. And I'm really sorry this happened.
Mhm.
Leader who does that shows vulnerability. They show that they're human too, and they also make mistakes like everybody else. Humans are very imperfect creatures. Everyone makes mistakes. It's just how it is. But you need to own your mistakes, and you need to fix them, and you need to try very hard not to repeat them. Mistakes are opportunities to learn. And if
Right.
you actually learn from your mistake, you probably won't repeat it. And especially if the leader encourages you to problem solve effectively and move on, because there's no point in wallowing in your mistake. That doesn't help us either. It has to be fixed. So, if you need help brainstorming what to do, then go to your leader. And if you are comfortable going to that person and they are willing to help you, and in the past they have, why would you not do it again? Of course you
Right.
would, because you know
Right.
you're going to get help.
So,
And,
ladies, ladies, I'm so thankful and honored that you're again on this conversation with me. And Deneen, thank you for joining us. Even though you had to do it the way you do it, we greatly appreciate your insights, and we apologize that you still had technical difficulties in a row. We apologize for that. Like I said, maybe next time, maybe we can use the mobile phone, maybe for you. I don't know. But like I said, we just so thankful and honored that you're here with us again today. So, what's on tap for the humanity, Carla?
No, I don't know. I'm going to think about that on the golf course.
Think about that on the golf course on the 19th hole. There you go.
No, it'll be before the 19th hole.
Good. Good. Well, you have a good golf game.
I'm going to try. We'll see what the good Lord brings.
Okay.
All righty. So, ladies, thank you so much, and we'll see you tomorrow happy hour.
Okay. Bye, guys.
Everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Deneen.
Bye.
Bye.